Hello. How is everyone doing today? How are you today?
I'm doing really well. How are you doing today, Miss Amanda?
Awesome. So, today we are channeling our directors. I want to give them a little bit of time to join. We can wait a couple minutes to introduce ourselves and then we can go ahead and get started. What are we talking about today, Mrs. Costin? What are we talking about?
Oh, wow. Today we're talking about, I think, a hot topic that a lot of directors have. It's about how to turn it around. How can we take our program from the challenges that we often face every day? And what are some things we can do? What are some suggestions other directors have about how we can look at challenges differently and be more solution focused so we can turn around um, any kind of atmosphere we're feeling isn't very reflective of what we're trying to do.
Yes. I love that. And that's definitely something that all directors can use in their day-to-day lives, right?
Yes, it's nice to have those extra toolboxes and hear what somebody else did. Sometimes we feel like we're doing the same thing over and over and expecting better results, but hopefully this opportunity we can just really get a lot of ideas and about how things work for someone else and try it out because everything's so
Yes.
unique, Miss Amanda.
Yes, and I'd love to hear y'all's feedback in the comments. Y'all comment. I see Irene's already in our comments. Good evening. We'd love to hear from you. What kind of tips do you have for directors as well? Okay.
Definitely.
All right, we're growing here. We have some people joining, so we're going to go ahead and get started.
Sounds
So,
great.
uh, I want to go ahead and get started on um, our first topic, which is how to deal with a parent that is upset.
Yes,
So,
that yes. Has anybody, yeah, show of hands, anybody not encountered that ever? I feel like that's something,
pretty rare, right?
yeah, very
Um,
rare.
Definitely. So when a parent's upset, definitely staying calm is your superpower, right? Speak in a
Yes.
steady, reassuring tone and really listen to them. Let them know you're genuinely hearing their concerns. Even if you disagree, a lot of the time we're going to disagree, right?
Oh, yeah.
But validate their feelings. Definitely saying things like, I can see why you feel that way goes a
Hmm.
long way, right? So focus on solutions, be specific, right?
Yep.
Be specific. So, what actions are you actually going to take? And then the biggest thing would be follow up, right?
Yep.
Don't just let it sit and linger there and they're wondering what if and does she actually care? Did she try to just blow me off? Follow up. It shows that you're committed, right, to resolving the issue. So follow up. What are your thoughts?
Well, those are my thoughts too. And oftentimes I had a parent that was upset, and it was about something I think many of us have come across, and myself more than once. Their child's diaper was so wet at pickup time, and they were really upset. And the first thing I do is empathize with them. I can see how that can be really upsetting, and I apologize. Did I do it? Did my teachers do it? Did the child just drink a ton of water that day? But I want to let them know I'm really sorry that they picked up their child in that condition, because most parents drop them off in a pretty dry diaper. We have exceptions, so empathizing with them. And letting them know, you know what, I will definitely have a conversation with the teacher so we can ensure your child it has a dry diaper, or look at ways maybe they're ready to potty train. Maybe they checked them an hour ago and they were dry, and then they let had a letdown reflex. So really get that feedback from the teachers as well. Is it did they not have enough support to get that diaper changed? So empathizing with the parent and letting them know that I'm there, and they can always tell me everything, anything they want to, and that I'm gonna, you know, trust that what they're saying, it's meaningful to them. And then just find out from the teachers, how can I support you, to make sure we can help all children go home with a nearly dry diaper. Have you had any things like that with parents, Miss Amanda?
Yeah, so I can tell you from both sides actually.
Mm.
So when my daughter, she was in an early head start. She's 13 now. Y'all pray for me. But when she was in, I guess we would say pre-potty changing stage, potty training stage, she actually, I would pick her up straight after work every day, and she had dry BM just stuck to her, and you could tell she hadn't been changed for a while.
Yeah.
If it's that serious, something's going on, right? And
Mhm.
so definitely just being heard by the teacher and her telling me that she would figure out what was going on, and then that follow-up that she came back and asked me how it was going, was it still happening, things like that. A lot of the time what we hear is that one teacher will say, well, you know what, I just got here, or oh, I was on lunch, or I wasn't here in the morning, or things like that, or oh, I don't do the last diaper change of the day. And it's like, what?
Mhm.
You're supposed to be constantly checking, right? And
Yeah.
so definitely not passing that blame towards each other. It helps the parent look, it looks like you're on the same page, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
even just that, it definitely helps a lot. So those
I
are my
agree. Being unified with our team to help support their parent when they have some challenges, and then that follow up as well, letting your team know you followed up with, asking them at the end of the day, how was diaper today? Reminding your team sometimes, hey, we know that sometimes this child's very wet, and how can I come in and support you? Or just a quick reminder, hey, go ahead and do that additional diaper change, even if you changed them an hour ago. That's great. That's really great advice.
yeah. So our next topic is how to handle employees that are frequently late. I know a lot of y'all are cheering right now because this is what you really want to hear. How do
Yeah.
you deal with those employees? We're short staffed, right? So we
Mhm.
need as many as we can get. So even 1 minute kind of costs you a big
Yeah.
headache sometimes. And
Yep.
so I would definitely say consistent tardiness can drag down the whole team, right?
It
Start
can.
by having a private chat with the employee to understand any underlying causes, because we don't know, things happen, right? But if it's frequent, we kind of want to get to the bottom of it quickly, right? So
Definitely.
it's important, approach it with empathy first. A lot of the time we're pointing the finger, but how many of you have heard of that saying where if you end up going late to a place and then they tell you that it was meant to be that way, you end up seeing a car crash on the way to work or something like that, and you start thinking that could have been me, right?
Mhm.
You never
Yep.
know, people have that mindset. And so definitely have empathy. Next, set clear expectations and consequences. So explain how their tardiness impacts the team and remind them of company policies. Document, document, document. Okay? Document for accountability. And then offer flexibility if possible, like adjusted start times, things like that. Whatever works within your specific business structure.
Right.
And then recognize and reward improvement. So positive reinforcement can be a powerful motivator. At the end of the day, the goal is to foster a supportive environment while maintaining the standards that you need, right?
It is.
Definitely, it's definitely um, it is a luxury these days to have that opening shift, right?
Yeah.
Everyone wants it. They want to get out at that 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock time. It's a luxury, right? So you have a long list of people normally that want that position. So definitely let that be known to your people that do open. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts?
Well, and same thing. So, you know, you have these schedules, and you know, trying to figure out who's best in which place. Not everybody can open, and for time constraint, and not everybody can close. So you try to work within that. Um, I would say anytime anybody's late, address it the first time. Um, and it doesn't have to be formal, like in writing, but just say, hey, I noticed you were 10 minutes late today. Just remember that that bumps the whole schedule off by 10 minutes, and it takes a lot to regroup. That the children miss you when you're not there, and parents are always asking because they drop off consistently, where's Miss Michelle today? And we're like, oh, sorry, she's running late. We do, as directors, we all know things happen, but let them know, if it happens a second time, we're going to adjust schedules. So we have to let them know that, we need somebody that can be consistently here at their scheduled shift. Maybe these aren't the right hours for you. So let them know that. And that's really a good hiring ritual as well when you're setting up those schedules. We have an expectation that you're going to be here. You might think, well, you're the fifth teacher coming in that day. Everything was fine. Yeah, thank goodness everything was fine. But our school has to maintain ratios so that we can stay open. So that licensing doesn't want to come and say, no, you can't be here. And help build that level of trust with your team so they can come to you and say, you know what, I really want to open, but it doesn't really work for my life right now. And let them know that's not a bad thing. How can we adjust schedules? I also, Miss Amanda, something I do too is nobody has just the opening schedule. So at least a couple times a month, they have a different schedule so that other people can fill in that slot. And I found that that works pretty well. They might schedule something in the morning and be an afternoon teacher and etc. So being open and honest about how we're only as good as our weakest link. So it's really
Yes.
important to, be available.
I love that saying too. It definitely shows accountability throughout,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
so, what about our next topic, which is messy classrooms? How do you deal with that messy classroom?
Oh my goodness. You're walking by as the director and you're just, seeing how everybody's doing. And maybe the classroom, they went outside, but they left the classroom as though a tornado kind of went through it.
Yeah.
Um, and we know that not all of our teachers, that's their strong suit is the organization. So, a reset is a really great idea, help them reset. Amanda and I were talking earlier, we're talking about you know, say let's go in on a Saturday for a couple hours and just reset. Something else is having those mentor teachers, those teachers that just seem to organize their classroom and the kids know how to organize the classroom and maybe they can be a mentor in there as well. And kind of explain the rules again about trip hazards and things like that. What about you, Miss Amanda?
Yes, definitely. Maintaining a clean workspace in general is definitely non-negotiable for me. You just can't function. It's too cluttery. There's things going on. You can't find anything. It's just definitely a headache. So first, definitely set clear expectations and standards. So maybe create a checklist or a schedule that outlines daily tasks. I know a lot of people do it during nap time. They're like, if you got time to lean, you got time to clean. I know my director would say that to me as when I was a teacher. So definitely lead by example too. Come on, like don't have all this clutter and stuff like that in your office, and you're expecting them to have a immaculate classroom, right? You're going in there with your little white gloves, and your office looks a mess. Come on, like that's not fair either, right? If the messy, there goes my words, right? If the messiness persists, definitely have a one-on-one chat with them. Like sometimes your brain is so scattered that she could be a wonderful teacher. Maybe just like you said, having that mentor go in and kind of just coach them through how to be more organized, that might help them out. It's definitely not everyone's strong suit, right? So maybe offer suggestions like labeling their bins,
Mhm.
storage solutions, things like that. Incentivize cleanliness with small rewards, and definitely shout them out in meetings. Like the same way that we tell teachers to always say the positive along with the negative, kind of sandwich in those things to the parents. We want to do that to the teachers too. Give them something that you're proud of them about. Don't just always nitpick and say, "Oh, you're 10 minutes late. Plus your classroom is dirty. Plus this," but you didn't realize that they did all the things that they did do right. You know what I mean? So, definitely try it out. Positive
Definitely.
reinforcement makes a big difference.
It really does. We talk about it with doing that with children all the time. We definitely want to support our teams too.
And here's one of our big ones that we definitely get a lot of calls about, right? To come and
Yeah.
redo training. Employee gossiping, how to get around that. I know in childcare we have male and female, but it's primarily female at some centers and they get a lot of cattiness. How would you get around that?
Ooh, meet it head on right away and talk about, implementing a policy at your school. No gossiping. And really, to talk about the turn it around part is we need to be solution focused. And so maybe you are having a challenge with one of the families, and you're just kind of over it and you're not quite sure how to, move forward with that family. Instead of maybe complaining to your co-teacher or talking to another teacher, um, you know, let's do some brainstorming together. Let's talk about, what, I'm just having a hard time, but maybe somebody else is not. We have to remember we don't always mesh with everybody. And that goes for children as well. Maybe there's a child that's been biting in the classroom, or some other behavior that we're talking about. It's not going to be helpful if you're just complaining about how the child behaves, because we have to remember we're the adults in that space. So, what can we do to support that child while they're going through this particular milestone? And again, we're only as good as our weakest link in that space. And one person gossiping or complaining really can bring the whole atmosphere down. So that's something that I try to do is really just, let them know we have to be solution focused and then have a policy.
Yes, definitely. And in that policy too, I definitely would promote transparency, right? Encourage open dialogue. Some employees feel heard and respected that way, reducing that need for a back channel chatter and things like that. So definitely lead by example too. Shut it down when it comes to you. Don't encourage it. Definitely don't pick and choose who you think's not going to spread the gossip, so you only gossip with them. No, be across the board. No gossiping, right? Provide training on conflict resolution. I'm not going to toot our own horns, right, Miss Costin, but
Yep, yep.
we have training on that. We can help
Yes,
you.
we do.
Call on elite educational enterprises for your training needs. So definitely equip your staff with the tools to address issues directly and constructively,
Yeah,
right? Foster a positive workplace. So recognize achievements and celebrate success, right? A happy, engaged team is likely to have way less gossip, right?
definitely.
And shout out to Gina. I see you in our comments. Hi. She said, "Hey, all right, I want y'all to comment. Come on. What do y'all think so far? What do you think?
Yeah, what are your tidbits on gossiping? Does anybody have
What are your
a
policies?"
formal policy about gossiping, and how to turn that around so it becomes more of a conversation and an ability to focus on a solution and what can be done to support
Yes,
all
we
of us?
love hearing your tips as well.
Definitely.
So now our biggest question, right? Last but not least, children hitting teachers. How do you deal
Mm,
with that? How do you handle that? That's tough, right?
yes, very. Because you're trying
Definitely.
to get down on their level, you're trying to be close to them and have these meaningful conversations, and you take one across the nose. And it can be really challenging. And teachers don't know how to react. The first time you get hit or kicked by a child, you're like, why would they do that to me? Sometimes we think, well, because we're the adult, they're just kids. They just had, it didn't feel right, and they were letting you know, instead of their words. So, one way to support, it's really important to support the teachers. So I say always use your incident accident report and write that up as well. Um, One, it helps the teacher educator realize that they matter in the classroom too. It's not about just about children hitting each other, that they matter as well. And it opens up a dialogue for a parent also, that we can say, hey, we told him that's not okay. My body's not for hitting, just like the children aren't. And then we can help parents follow up with a dialogue at home too about gentle hands, keeping their hands to themselves. But then if it becomes a bigger challenge, it's not just you that they're lashing out at, but maybe it is children or another educator in the classroom. Then we have that documentation started already. And we can call the incident and say, this thing happened. They could have been upset. They're learning to express themselves verbally. Maybe they just started and they felt startled. We never really know, but it's always good to have, again, lots of documentation. So I did
Yeah.
have that. I have been smacked across the nose before. But yeah, I just realized that, teachers need to know they're part of the whole process, and that we need to look out for them.
Yes, definitely. I know I can think back. I remember the first time it happened to me,
Mm.
which I actually ended up getting sent to the clinic to go get it checked out because the kid went straight with the little Tonka truck, those little excavator looking ones,
Yep.
and wow, I was kind of leaned up on one of the tables that he was playing at. I was sitting on the floor next to him,
Yeah.
and I had my arm up on the table, and he hit me right on the elbow bone, and
Oh,
I was like, "Ow."
yep.
And so you go in and you're thinking, "Oh well, it he's a little kid. Things happen,
Sure. You're
things like that.
safe.
Right?
He's
You're
small.
fine. I'm an adult." Yeah, but sometimes people take that personal, right?
Yes,
And it's
definitely.
like a personal attack, like, "Ah, you tried to hurt me on purpose." No,
Hmm.
find first and foremost, ensure your own safety, right? And that of the
Yeah.
other children. Let me say that.
Yeah.
But stay calm and firm and gentle, right?
Yes, definitely.
Address the behavior immediately. Hitting hurts. We do not hit. Things like that. Identify the triggers. Are there specific situations or times when the hitting occurs? Understand that this can help prevent future incidents too, right? By especially
Yep.
by shutting it down right when it happens. So consistently enforce consequences. Be clear about what is acceptable. Reinforce positive behavior with praise and rewards. Have y'all seen that our little theme of the night has kind of been positive reinforcement,
Always positive
right?
reinforcement. Yes. Yes.
Engage
And I,
parents and guardians, definitely to provide additional support, right?
yeah.
Consistency between home and school is really important. I know a lot of the time we tend to say, well, if the parent doesn't do it, I don't want to do it.
Right.
Hey, he a lot of time too, what do we say? He's with us most of the time,
A
right?
lot of hours, definitely.
Yes. But definitely remember patience and consistency. Those are your allies. I see that Luce has commented about her policy on no
Yeah.
gossiping that employees have to sign. So, are there consequences? Do they know the consequences?
Yeah. And then do they also know what to do instead? So that's always, yeah, again, that positive redirection. We tell children not just don't run, but we say use your walking feet. And so, what does gossiping look like? What is that? To me, gossiping is kind of just complaining about your boss, or complaining about the classroom you work in, or the children, or the parents. And again, I understand about letting off some steam. We know our educators have a lot of steam to let go of by the end of their day. But then what do you do instead? Hey, this is really hard for me. And then how do we help the whole team be able to empathize with their co-teachers too? Wow, it sounds like you're having a really hard time with that child. Why don't we brainstorm and kind of share some ideas about how we can help the child in the classroom, or even your relationship with us, as directors. We don't always know what's going on, and oftentimes we can come around and seem a little too bossy. And it's okay. I encourage my teams to collaborate with one another. Some people are not direct. I'm very direct, and so that can be very unnerving. So they might gossip and say, "Oh, Michelle's acting mean today." And that's okay, but I do want to know that. So maybe one of your coworkers tell them it's okay to bring that information, so that I can be a better support for the team as well. But yeah, if it's complaining with no solution, that's gossiping to me.
Definitely. Because how are we supposed to fix it if we don't know?
Right.
Right. And one thing that I thought of as we discussed earlier, I was thinking one way to kind of shed that light on it too, or to give an example, would be, for example, if your lights are turned off in your classroom and you can't turn them back on, by telling the next teacher in the next classroom, is she going to be able to get them turned on for you?
Right.
There's really nothing she can do, right?
Right.
You're going to have to tell management. Management is the only one that can fix that problem. So that would be an example that I definitely share with the teachers as well.
Right.
Do y'all have any questions or anything about what we've gone over so far? Any scenarios that have happened to you? Think back. We talked about parents that are upset, how to deal with those situations,
Mhm.
late employees, messy classrooms, employee gossiping, and what happens when children hit teachers.
Yeah, especially when you have to send them to for workers' comp because they need to get their elbows checked out. I've had to do it as well. Child moved a chair and I just fell on the ground. So I wrote it up as an incident, but I had to go get physical
Yeah.
therapy for my back. And that's important. To me, that's not gossiping. That's just saying, hey, this happened and how can we take care of it? And that solution focused as well.
And even sometimes the way that we handle situations, we go through our policies, and sometimes it's silly. Like I think about like how you said we get sent to the clinic for some things, but you never know if it can turn into something else, right? That's why we do the incident report. So if a child hits their head, right,
That,
we're constantly watching them, but we're also writing it up too because we don't know if something could happen down throughout the day after that, right? We keep knowledge on what's been going on and stuff like that.
absolutely. I think it's really great too. I'm going to go back to kind of that gossiping or just kind of how you want the atmosphere to feel when you walk in, how you want your team to collaborate and coordinate with one another. Again, we're all friendly. We're friendly with parents, we're friendly with our teams, but we're not friends. Even if you are friends, you're still within the work environment. And you may even, it's, I know some schools, parents and teachers know each other outside of school. But when push comes to shove, teachers are under the bus, because the number one priority is the child. And so I really take that with my team as well. Is like the number one priority is the child. So how can we all work together to coordinate and provide supports where needed so we can not only support the child, the family, but also the educators in the classroom. And that part of that gossiping part, we have that conversation about here's what it looks like, here's what it sounds like, here's what to do instead. Just like when we're trying to redirect children. And no, our staff is not a child, but there are very few jobs where someone's signing a no gossiping uh, policy, because it's so important because of who we work for, who we provide services for. And so it's so important because I always am reminding teachers, you might want to, you think you're just talking to your spouse or somebody and you're at a restaurant and you're talking about something that happened that day. Never use names. Be mindful of what you're talking about because you don't know who's sitting in the next booth. You don't know who's at the grocery store. And it's really important that we're very mindful because that's challenges happen when we're gossiping or complaining.
Yes. And you're definitely bringing up a memory that I have of a situation that I had to deal with because of something like that. So, two teachers went on lunch together. We had a grocery store nearby, and so they were there. They didn't know and had never met the grandmother of one of the kids that was in their class. And so they're talking and talking. And of course, they're in their uniform, right? They don't think
Mhm.
about things like that. But wearing their uniform, start talking about one of the kids and oh, his mom, and I don't know what. And so the grandma comes back and starts telling us, hey, your teachers are going around talking about my grandkid. She didn't say names, but I knew she was talking about him, is what she kept saying. And so it's really hard to get around things like that. Even when you don't know names,
Right.
they know who you're talking about. You know
They
what I
do.
mean?
They
So
do. Because we do talk to parents at the end of the day and we provide that sandwich experience, the positive, and there's that one thing we need your help working on. Um, and they tell their family members. They talk about that's the part they still tend to take away versus the bread of that sandwich. So yeah,
yeah.
it's so vital. Yeah.
So I really enjoyed talking to you today. These are definitely some big topics that we really needed to talk about, right? That was the
Yep.
elephant in the room. This group definitely has questions, and we want to be there to answer those questions.
For
You
sure.
can follow us on Facebook, follow our Facebook page if you haven't already. It's Elite Educational Enterprises, right? That's where we're going live from. So go ahead and follow our Facebook page. We have TikTok, Instagram, a bunch of different social media. So follow us on there. Hit us on a comment or inbox, email us, and we can answer some more questions that you have. We have group training, we have webinars in person. We can come to you. We have a lot of stuff going on with our training. So check out our website as well. It's www.eliteresultsnow.com.
Mhm.
And that's where you'll get a list of all the services that we provide, all the trainings, group trainings. Like I said, webinar in person. You can come to us, we can come to you. There's a bunch of different packages that we have to save you money. So if you want to get this training, these are just snippets of some of the extensive trainings that we offer.
Yes.
So if you like what you heard, give us a comment down below and follow us and book us for one of your training sessions.
Please do. And if there's a topic that's been you've had conversations, you've talked with other directors or talked with your team, and you can't find that on Elite, let us know. We really are inspired by those of you always in the field day to day, and so it'd be really great to hear from you. Something that we could do. To really provide a training that's meaningful to you and your teams in the scenarios that you're in. So let us know what that is. I'm the training coordinator. I'm working on some of those trainings, and I would love to get your feedback. Please be a part of our Facebook group. I do pose questions, and one of my questions this weekend will be, what did you do in your school to turn it around? And I'd really love to hear from you. Have you had incidents that Miss Amanda and I spoke about? Maybe something we didn't even touch on tonight. And that'd be really great to hear about that so we can just continue this dialogue and support one another as leaders in our spaces to make our teams as best as, the best that we can. So, yeah, please let us know. And you're so welcome. I see a lot of thank yous too. You're very welcome. I always enjoy
Yes.
communicating with all of you.
And also, I'm nosy Rosie right now. I want to know what y'all are doing for fall. Are y'all doing fall festivals? Things like that. Let us know. Message us. Let us
Please.
know what y'all are doing. Post pictures in the group and let each other know little tips and tricks for community involvement as well. What are y'all doing? Let us know. I want to see pictures. Let me see those fall festivals that y'all have going on, trunk or treats and stuff like that. What are you doing for November? December's coming up too, New Year's.
Yeah, and maybe
So,
you don't know what to do. So yeah, that's another great question I can put on Facebook as well, Miss Amanda. Is like, what are you doing? Tell us about it. There's so many different things that schools do. We could just really build a very large resource. That'd be fantastic.
yes. Uh, also, one thing to bring up as well is we have CDA classes on
Mhm.
Saturdays.
Yep,
So we have classes in English and in Spanish. Our CPR and first aid classes are in English and in Spanish as well. So let us know what you need. We have director classes as well. But
yes,
thank you so much for joining us. I
definitely.
see y'all's
Well,
comments. Shout out. I see Rochelle, Luz, Debbie, Gina again. Thank y'all so much for joining. A lot of others, I'm sorry, I'm not going to say everybody's name right now, but thank y'all so much for joining. Definitely, like I said, comment and let us know what else y'all would like to talk about.
definitely.
All right. So we're going to end the live now. Thank you so much.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.